Every time we get sick today, help is usually just a phone call or a hospital away. But have you ever wondered how medicine became so advanced? Let's travel back through thousands of years to discover a time when doctors, hospitals, and medicines didn't even exist. This is the incredible story of human curiosity, courage, and countless discoveries that transformed medicine forever. Imagine getting badly injured in a world where no one knew how to treat a broken bone or stop an infection. Early humans had no medical books to guide them. They could only observe nature and learn through trial and error. Some plants seemed to reduce pain, while others helped wounds heal. Every small success became valuable knowledge. Slowly, people began asking important questions. Which plants helped? Why did some people recover while others did not? As generations passed, this knowledge was remembered, shared, and eventually written down for others to learn. Those simple observations would eventually lead to remarkable discoveries, from ancient healing traditions to microscopes, vaccines, antibiotics, and modern hospitals. The history of medicine is more than a list of inventions. It is the story of humanity refusing to give up in the face of disease. Every breakthrough answered one question but raised another, pushing people to learn even more about the human body. So come with me as we travel back to the very beginning, where the first chapter of medicine started, not in a hospital, but in the wild. Our journey begins tens of thousands of years ago. Humans lived in small groups, surrounded by nature and far from anything we would call medicine today. Life was difficult and often dangerous. Injuries from hunting, accidents, and animal attacks were common. When someone got hurt, there were no doctors to call. People had to rely on their own observations and experience. Over time, they noticed that certain plants seemed to help wounds heal or reduce pain. These discoveries were not made in laboratories. They came from years of trial, error, and careful observation. Some plants were useful, while others were harmful. Learning the difference could mean the difference between life and death. Whenever a treatment worked, people remembered it and shared the knowledge with others. Mistakes were also important teachers. Dangerous plants helped people learn what to avoid. In many communities, special healers emerged. They became trusted sources of medical knowledge. These healers taught younger generations which herbs to use and how to care for the sick and injured. Long before medical schools existed, knowledge was passed down through stories, drawings, and memory. As human societies grew larger and more organized, medicine began taking its next great step forward. The rise of ancient civilizations would change everything. As villages became cities, medicine began to change. Larger populations meant more injuries, more diseases, and a greater need for organized healthcare. Markets became places where people traded not only food and goods but also medicinal herbs, oils, and healing plants gathered from many regions. One of the earliest medical centers appeared in ancient Egypt. Egyptian healers combined careful observation with generations of practical experience. Instead of relying only on memory, Egyptians began writing medical knowledge on papyrus scrolls. This allowed valuable treatments to be preserved and shared. Egyptian doctors learned how to clean wounds, apply bandages, and care for broken bones. Many of these techniques were surprisingly advanced for their time. The construction of massive projects like the pyramids required skilled workers, and workers needed medical care to stay healthy and recover from injuries. Far to the east, another great civilization was making important medical discoveries. This was Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization. The people of Mesopotamia recorded treatments, symptoms, and observations on clay tablets, creating some of the earliest written medical records in history. Many healers believed illness had both natural and spiritual causes. As a result, treatments often combined herbal medicine with religious rituals. Medicinal plants, oils, and minerals were carefully stored and prepared. Early pharmacies were beginning to take shape, even thousands of years ago. As civilizations traded with one another, they also exchanged medical ideas. A successful remedy discovered in one land could eventually spread across the ancient world. But the story of medicine was only beginning. In India, China, and Greece, new ideas would soon transform healthcare in ways that still influence medicine today. As civilization expanded, different cultures developed their own unique ways of understanding health and disease. Our journey now takes us to ancient India. In India, healers studied nature carefully. They believed that plants, food, daily habits, and the environment all played an important role in keeping people healthy. Over many centuries, this knowledge became a medical tradition known as Ayurveda, one of the world's oldest continuously practiced systems of medicine. Ayurveda taught that good health depended on maintaining balance within the body. Preventing illness was considered just as important as treating it. Meanwhile, in ancient China, physicians developed another remarkable medical tradition. They carefully observed the body to understand a person's overall health. Chinese medicine introduced techniques such as acupuncture, using very fine needles to stimulate specific points on the body. These practices are still used in many parts of the world today. Herbal remedies, careful diagnosis, and healthy living became central ideas in traditional Chinese medicine, showing that prevention could be just as valuable as cure. Across the sea, another civilization was preparing to change medicine forever. The ideas born in ancient Greece would influence doctors for more than 2,000 years. Greek scholars believed that understanding the world required observation, logic, and careful thinking. Medicine was beginning to become a science instead of relying only on tradition. Among these thinkers was Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine. He encouraged physicians to study patients carefully before deciding on a treatment. Instead of assuming disease was always caused by angry gods or supernatural forces, Hippocrates argued that many illnesses had natural causes that could be understood through observation. Hippocrates also inspired a lasting idea: doctors should use their knowledge to help patients and avoid causing harm. This belief became the foundation of medical ethics and continues to influence healthcare today. As the Roman Empire expanded across Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia, it carried Greek medical knowledge to millions of people. Roman cities became centers of learning, trade, and public health. Medicine was no longer limited to small villages or individual healers. Students studied anatomy, disease, and treatments by learning from experienced physicians. Medical education became more organized than ever before. One of the most influential doctors of this era was Galen. He carefully studied anatomy and wrote hundreds of books about medicine. Although some of Galen's ideas were later proven incorrect, his writings shaped medical education for more than 1,000 years. The Roman army also transformed medicine. Soldiers needed fast and effective treatment to return to battle, leading to better organized medical care. The Romans established military hospitals where injured soldiers could recover under the care of trained physicians. These hospitals became early models for organized healthcare. Romans understood that clean water was essential for healthy cities. Their massive aqueducts carried fresh water over long distances to homes, baths, and fountains. They also built sewers, public baths, and drainage systems. Even without knowing about bacteria, they recognized that cleaner surroundings often meant healthier communities. Good hygiene gradually became part of everyday life. These public health improvements helped reduce the spread of many illnesses. For the first time in history, medicine was focusing not only on treating disease but also on preventing it. This idea remains one of the foundations of modern healthcare. But history was about to take an unexpected turn. As the Roman Empire weakened, much of this medical knowledge would be at risk of being lost until a new civilization stepped forward to preserve and expand it. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Europe entered a difficult period. But the story of medicine did not come to an end. Instead, a new chapter was beginning elsewhere. Across the Islamic world, great libraries became centers of learning. Scholars gathered knowledge from many civilizations, determined to preserve and expand it. Greek, Roman, Persian, and Indian medical texts were carefully translated, studied, and improved. Instead of letting old ideas disappear, scholars built upon them. During this period, some of the world's most advanced hospitals were established. These hospitals welcomed patients, organized treatment, and trained future physicians. Doctors worked in specialized areas, carefully observing patients and recording their symptoms. Medicine was becoming increasingly systematic and evidence-based. Pharmacies also became more organized. Pharmacists carefully prepared medicines, measured ingredients, and developed standards for producing reliable treatments. One of the greatest physicians of this era was Al-Razi. He believed careful observation was essential for understanding disease and improving patient care. Al-Razi made an important breakthrough by clearly describing the differences between diseases such as smallpox and measles, helping doctors make more accurate diagnoses. Another remarkable scholar was Ibn Sina, whose medical encyclopedia, the Canon of Medicine, gathered centuries of knowledge into one comprehensive work. For hundreds of years, the Canon of Medicine served as a standard textbook in many parts of the world, guiding generations of physicians in diagnosis and treatment. As trade and learning connected different cultures, these medical discoveries spread into Europe, where they would inspire the next great advances in medicine. The torch of knowledge had been carefully preserved. Soon, Europe would rediscover this wisdom and begin a scientific revolution that would change medicine forever. As medical knowledge returned to Europe, life was still harsh. Cities were crowded, sanitation was poor, and disease could spread rapidly. Without understanding the true causes of infection, many illnesses swept through communities, leaving families searching for answers. People developed many explanations for disease. Some blamed foul-smelling air, others believed the stars or supernatural forces were responsible. Today we know that the Black Death was largely spread by bacteria carried by fleas that lived on rats. But at the time, no one knew these tiny organisms even existed. Trade routes helped connect civilizations, but they also allowed diseases to travel quickly from one region to another. The Black Death claimed the lives of millions of people. It became one of the deadliest pandemics in human history and changed society forever. Yet even after such tragedy, curiosity did not disappear. The Renaissance inspired people to question old ideas and seek knowledge through careful observation. Artists, scientists, and physicians began studying the human body with greater accuracy than ever before. One of the pioneers of this movement was Andreas Vesalius. Instead of accepting ancient texts without question, he carefully examined human anatomy himself. Vesalius discovered that several long-accepted anatomical descriptions were incorrect. His detailed drawings helped build a more accurate understanding of the human body. The invention of the printing press allowed these discoveries to spread rapidly, making medical knowledge available to students and physicians across Europe. But the greatest breakthrough was still waiting. Soon, a simple instrument would reveal an invisible world that had been hidden from humanity for thousands of years. For thousands of years, humans could only study what they could see with their own eyes. But everything was about to change with one remarkable invention, the microscope. Early microscopes were simple compared to those we use today, yet they opened a completely new window into nature. Looking through these early lenses required patience. Scientists often spent hours adjusting them to reveal the tiniest details. Then came an astonishing discovery. There was an entire hidden world filled with tiny living organisms that no one had ever seen before. One of the first people to observe these microscopic organisms was Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Using handcrafted microscopes, he described what he called animalcules, tiny living creatures invisible to the naked eye. A single drop of pond water contained countless microscopic organisms. The world was far more complex than anyone had imagined. Even clear drinking water could contain invisible life. This discovery challenged many long-held assumptions about health and cleanliness. Scientists began identifying different kinds of microscopic structures, including bacteria and blood cells. Each new observation expanded humanity's understanding of life. Researchers across Europe built better microscopes and shared their discoveries. Science was becoming an international effort. But one important mystery remained. Were these tiny organisms simply part of nature, or could they actually make people sick? The answer to that question would completely transform medicine. It would change how doctors understood disease, surgery, and public health. The stage was now set for one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs in history, the germ theory of disease. For centuries, people debated what really caused disease. Some blamed bad air, while others searched for a hidden explanation. By the 19th century, scientists had better laboratories and improved microscopes. They were finally ready to test these ideas with careful experiments. One of those scientists was Louis Pasteur. He questioned the belief that tiny living organisms could appear out of nowhere. Using his famous swan neck flask experiment, Pasteur showed that microorganisms came from the environment, not through spontaneous generation. His experiments provided powerful evidence that invisible microbes were all around us. Under the right conditions, they could grow and multiply. Another pioneering scientist, Robert Koch, took the next crucial step. He showed that specific microorganisms could cause specific diseases. Koch identified bacteria responsible for diseases such as anthrax, tuberculosis, and cholera. This transformed medicine from educated guesswork into evidence-based science. Once doctors understood that germs spread disease, simple habits like washing hands became recognized as powerful ways to protect health. Medical instruments were also cleaned and sterilized before use, greatly reducing the risk of dangerous infections during treatment. Hospitals gradually adopted cleaner practices. Better hygiene saved countless lives and dramatically improved patient care. The germ theory of disease completely changed medicine. Scientists now knew that many illnesses had specific microscopic causes that could be studied, prevented, and treated. This revolutionary discovery opened the door to safer surgery, vaccines, antibiotics, and nearly every major medical breakthrough that followed. Even after doctors understood germs, surgery remained one of the most frightening experiences a person could face. Before anesthesia, patients stayed awake during operations. Surgeons worked as quickly as possible because every second meant more pain. Speed often mattered more than precision. The faster an operation was completed, the less suffering the patient endured. Everything changed with the introduction of anesthesia. Medicines such as ether and later chloroform allowed patients to sleep through surgery without feeling pain. With patients safely unconscious, surgeons could operate more carefully, making longer and more complex procedures possible. Another major breakthrough came from Joseph Lister. Inspired by germ theory, he used antiseptics to kill microbes before they could infect surgical wounds. Lister's methods dramatically reduced infections after surgery. What had once been a deadly risk became much safer for patients. Doctors also began sterilizing instruments and keeping operating rooms as clean as possible. Preventing infection became just as important as performing the operation itself. These advances transformed surgery into one of medicine's greatest achievements. Procedures that were once impossible gradually became routine. From pain control to sterile techniques, surgery entered a new era built on science, precision, and patient safety. Millions of lives have since been saved because surgeons can now operate with far greater confidence and far lower risk than ever before. But medicine wasn't finished fighting disease. The next breakthrough would focus on preventing illness before it even began, leading to one of humanity's greatest public health achievements, vaccines. For centuries, one disease terrified people more than almost any other, smallpox. It spread rapidly, claimed millions of lives, and left many survivors with permanent scars. Smallpox affected communities across the world. Families lived in fear because no one knew who might become infected next. Then, doctors noticed something unusual. Milkmaids who had caught the much milder disease called cowpox rarely became seriously ill with smallpox. One physician paid close attention to this observation. His name was Edward Jenner, and he believed this clue could help protect people from one of history's deadliest diseases. In 1796, Jenner tested his idea by using material from cowpox to help the body's natural defenses prepare against smallpox. His work became the foundation of the first successful vaccine. Think of your immune system as a shield. A vaccine safely introduces it to part of a disease-causing germ, giving it a chance to practice recognizing the threat before encountering the real infection. Later, if the real disease appears, the immune system can respond much faster and more effectively, reducing the risk of severe illness. As vaccination programs expanded, millions of people gained protection. Communities became healthier as fewer people caught the disease. Year after year, the number of smallpox cases continued to fall. What once seemed impossible was becoming reality. In 1980, after a global vaccination campaign led by the World Health Organization, smallpox became the first human disease officially declared eradicated worldwide. It remains one of medicine's greatest public health achievements. Today, vaccines help protect people from many serious infectious diseases. They have saved countless lives and remain one of the most effective tools in preventive medicine. But even with vaccines, doctors still faced another enormous challenge. What could they do when someone was already sick with a dangerous bacterial infection? The answer would come from an unexpected accident. Even with cleaner hospitals, safer surgery, and vaccines, bacterial infections remained a major cause of death. A simple wound or pneumonia could still become life-threatening. Doctors could often diagnose infections, but they had very few medicines that could stop harmful bacteria once they spread through the body. Then, in 1928, a routine day in a laboratory led to one of the greatest medical discoveries in history. The scientist was Alexander Fleming. When he returned to his laboratory, he noticed something unusual growing in one of his petri dishes. A patch of mold had stopped nearby bacteria from growing. Instead of throwing the dish away, Fleming investigated what made it so special. The mold produced a substance that could kill many kinds of bacteria. Fleming named this remarkable substance penicillin. Years later, scientists learned how to produce penicillin on a large scale. It soon became the world's first widely used antibiotic, saving millions of lives. Diseases that had once been deadly could now be treated successfully. Countless patients recovered from infections that had previously been almost impossible to cure. The discovery of antibiotics transformed modern medicine. Complex surgeries, cancer treatments, and organ transplants became much safer because bacterial infections could often be controlled. However, antibiotics only work against bacterial infections, not illnesses caused by viruses, such as the common cold or influenza. Using them only when necessary helps keep them effective. When antibiotics are overused or used incorrectly, some bacteria can evolve resistance. Scientists around the world continue working to develop new medicines and slow this growing challenge. The fight against disease never truly ends. As medicine advanced into the 20th century, powerful new technologies began allowing doctors to look inside the human body without making a single cut. For centuries, doctors had to rely on what they could see and feel from outside the body. Diagnosing injuries hidden beneath the skin was often difficult. That changed in 1895, when an unexpected laboratory experiment revealed something extraordinary. The scientist was Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen. While studying electrical rays, he noticed a mysterious glow that ordinary light could not explain. Röntgen soon discovered a new type of radiation that could pass through soft tissue but was blocked by bones. He called them X-rays. For the first time in history, doctors could look inside the human body without surgery. Broken bones could now be identified quickly and accurately. X-rays soon became one of medicine's most valuable diagnostic tools, helping physicians detect fractures, lung diseases, and many other conditions. As technology improved, doctors wanted even more detailed images. This led to the development of computed tomography, or CT scans, which combine many X-ray images to create cross-sectional views of the body. CT scans allow doctors to examine the brain, chest, abdomen, and other organs in remarkable detail, helping diagnose injuries and diseases more accurately. Another breakthrough came with magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. Instead of using X-rays, MRI uses powerful magnets and radio waves to produce highly detailed images of soft tissues, such as the brain, muscles, and ligaments. Ultrasound added another safe and valuable tool. By using high-frequency sound waves, doctors can view organs in motion and monitor the development of unborn babies without using ionizing radiation. Together, X-rays, CT scans, MRI, and ultrasound transform diagnosis. They allow doctors to find problems earlier, choose better treatments, and monitor recovery more effectively. Now medicine could see inside the body like never before. But another challenge remained, replacing organs that no longer worked and giving patients a second chance at life. As medicine advanced, doctors faced another difficult challenge. Sometimes an organ became so damaged that medicines alone could no longer save a patient's life. When organs like the kidneys, heart, or liver stop working properly, the entire body can be affected. For many years, there was little doctors could do. A major breakthrough came in 1954, when Joseph Murray led the first successful human kidney transplant between identical twins. This historic operation proved that replacing a failing organ could save a life. It opened an entirely new chapter in modern medicine. As transplant techniques improved and medicines to reduce organ rejection were developed, more patients were able to recover and return to their normal lives. Today, surgeons can successfully transplant kidneys, hearts, livers, lungs, pancreases, and several other organs, offering hope to people with severe organ failure. For patients waiting for a kidney transplant, dialysis machines can temporarily perform some of the kidney's essential filtering functions, helping sustain life until a suitable donor organ becomes available. Medical engineering has also created remarkable devices, including pacemakers, artificial joints, prosthetic limbs, and experimental artificial organs that improve or restore important body functions. Modern surgeons are now assisted by advanced robotic systems. These technologies help improve precision during certain procedures while the surgeon remains in full control. Many operations today can be performed through very small incisions using minimally invasive techniques. This often leads to less pain, smaller scars, and faster recovery for patients. Every successful transplant and surgical innovation represents years of scientific research, teamwork, and human compassion. Millions of people have been given a second chance at life because of these advances. Medicine had learned to repair and even replace parts of the human body. But the next frontier was even more ambitious, understanding and editing the very instructions of life itself, our DNA. After thousands of years of discovery, medicine entered a completely new era. Scientists were no longer just studying organs or cells, they were exploring the very blueprint of life itself. In 1953, the double helix structure of DNA was described by James Watson and Francis Crick, building on crucial X-ray diffraction work by Rosalind Franklin. This breakthrough transformed biology and medicine. DNA is like an instruction manual for every cell in your body. Using just for chemical building blocks A, T, C, and G, it carries the information needed to build, grow, and maintain life. Scientists from around the world joined forces in the Human Genome Project, successfully mapping nearly all human genes. This opened new possibilities for understanding inherited diseases and developing more targeted treatments. Doctors now recognize that two patients with the same illness may not respond to treatment in exactly the same way. Personalized medicine uses genetic and other medical information to help choose therapies that are more likely to work for each individual. Researchers are also exploring gene therapy and genome editing, aiming to treat certain diseases by correcting or replacing specific genetic changes. While promising, these approaches continue to be carefully studied and are appropriate only in certain situations. Artificial intelligence is becoming an important tool in healthcare. It can help analyze medical images, identify patterns in large amounts of data, and support doctors in making informed decisions. AI assists healthcare professionals, it does not replace them. Technology is also bringing healthcare closer to home. Smartwatches and wearable sensors can monitor heart rate, activity, sleep, and other health information, helping people and their doctors detect potential problems earlier. Think about the incredible journey we've traveled. We began with herbs, observation, and trial and error. Along the way came anatomy, microscopes, germ theory, vaccines, antibiotics, safer surgery, medical imaging, organ transplants, and now genetics and AI. Every chapter of this story was built by curious minds willing to question old ideas and search for better answers. Progress did not happen overnight, it came through centuries of careful observation, experimentation, collaboration, and perseverance. Medicine continues to evolve because its purpose has never changed, to relieve suffering, prevent disease, and help people live healthier, longer lives. Every discovery builds on the work of those who came before. From prehistoric healers gathering medicinal plants to scientists decoding DNA and developing tomorrow's treatments, the story of medicine is really the story of humanity itself, a story of curiosity, compassion, and hope. And the next great medical breakthrough may still be waiting to be discovered. Every great medical breakthrough began with someone asking a simple question. What if there's a better way? If you had the chance to change the future of medicine, what problem would you try to solve first? Let us know your answer in the comments, because the next great idea could come from someone just like you.